Hello, this is Castle of Castle Does, and are you fired up for voxels? Because I got some more Subnautica. Actually, at this point, there's going to be a lot of Subnautica. I noticed that the other engines and other stuff that I'm working on is much less than Subnautica at the moment. I plan to have either Doom or UT4 and stuff like that in the future, but the YouTube channel was a bigger focus at the time. So for now, it's going to be like Castle does Subnautica, basically. Only Subnautica, which is good. It's fun. It's cool. It's cool. So, lots and lots of blocking out going on in this section. We got like a ton of geometry work in a very short amount of time. So, once I got everything in place, I wanted to try and get some props in for scale, try and figure out like um, just general blocking out, but I haven't really added too many different types of materials. There's still a lot that needs to be done, but a hell of a lot of geometry gets put into play. I mean, so at this point, I end up getting maybe I don't know about 14 of the 22 batches uh, with a base geometry pass on them. Now I want to add like lot more, and there's still going to be quite a bit more. There has to be like moss, and there has to be like models, and there's just going to have to be so much more that goes into these areas. Even though the progress is really quick, there's still so much that needs to be done. Um, it's difficult sometimes to really know if like is the voxel method really faster than the standard height map with models method that is more common in most games. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, voxels get you like you get a lot more interesting geometry, and um, but like the old standard models like you would find in like something like Skyrim or most games, pretty much most games that just have a giant height map terrain, and then you apply models to the top of it. The model like you just plop those models down, and the artist just makes that one model look really good, and it ends up looking good throughout the entire game. Whereas there's a lot of this is very like organic and a hell of a lot dependent on the level designer to get it all in place and have it look pretty. It's interesting. This process is probably so young right now. Like, it hasn't really been automated enough. I wonder how much it's going to change in the next like 3 or 4 years. Like somebody's going to come up with a way where like click one button, an entire castle just like suddenly gets generated out of voxels. Um, I don't know. I mean, we could end up seeing some really interesting uh, additions to the voxel method. But at the moment, I can't really honestly tell you if it's any faster than placing lots and lots of models and jamming them into the terrain yet. Although, I don't know. Anybody who's worked with both of these methods, I'd actually like to see somebody like who's worked on a bigger game kind of chime in on this and say like, well, this and that is faster, but if you're working with models, it's still better or it's still worse overall. Although we are still using models, so maybe there's like a middle ground that could be hit and just treat the voxels just like the terrain, which at that point then you get best of both worlds. Get some more models in there, like bigger models, big rock models and stuff. Then you kind of lose the value of having like interactive, like being able to dig holes in the shit and decisions. It's difficult. It's difficult to really say what's best. So at this point, I'm kind of like searching for areas to match some of the concept art for the area, because my goal right now is to kind of frame those areas that I have at least 3 different pieces of concept art that I'm trying to match, and there are places where that I can kind of get them to look almost exactly like the concept art once I have the exact uh, props and stuff like that to work with. And I think it would be actually really cool to literally recreate the exact concept art scene in some of these places. And right here, you know, I was talking about earlier, like first smiley face. So I got one in, just one. Okay, there'll be more. There'll be more. You'll never know where it is. Okay, it's by those things. Good luck. World's big. You won't find it. I don't think you will. Somebody will. Yeah, lots and lots of blocking out. Block masters. So the tools have been coming along at a pretty rapid pace. Being able to get everything set up and everything like that. One thing that's noteworthy right now is that a lot of the geometry tends to look similar and that it all has that same kind of feel to it. So, and it's difficult to get away from. I don't know how to describe it. It's just sort of a geometry look that the voxels have that every area now has. Now I want to do a little tiny cave right there, so I like mark that spot. I'll have to like remember to come back to it because at a later the caves are don't come until a later point in development of this area. Yeah. Yeah, I was just blowing through all the batches really quickly. Now I know that there's more model usage and stuff like that and things like landmark. But if you destroy the one piece of the one voxel that the model is attached to, it like destroys the model. So if like you see a rock or a tree or something, you can destroy it by destroying the thing that it's anchored to. A little weird. I'll have to play around with that a little more. All right, so that's that for that day. Thank you.